if they control our health, they control our food, they control our education, and they control our information. They have finished us. We are slaves. Our government is the middleman that is auctioning us to the multinationals. That's what they are doing. But as Kenyans, we must sit back and see what is going on. I learned the other day, Lynn, there is a Kenyan seed bank, organic seed bank in the UNEP. Secret. They've collected all organic seeds here in Kenya. They are in UNEP, the UNEP offices. Top security. No one can go there. It breaks your heart when I learned the other day, even Ketepa is not Kenyan owned.
No way.
Ketepa is not Kenyan owned.
Who owns it?
Oh, it's a Britain company.
Kadomi, I trust
no,
you.
No, you have to go and check.
We're going to have a...
Go and check Ketepa brand. Who owns Ketepa?
No, wait,
yes.
man. Wait.
Yes.
They are saying the Kenya Tea Development Agency is the majority shareholder.
In which company? In which company? I was so shocked to learn, since colonial times, it is not a Kenyan company that even owns cancer.
Chill. We go deeper.
Kenya is number 4 in cancer cases. I come from Meru. Meru from Isiolo, Nanyuki, Meru, coming down is like an outbreak of cancer like cholera. You know the way cholera, like everyone is sick. That's cancer in Meru. Throat cancer, esophagus cancer, breast cancer. It's a crisis in Meru.
Hey guys, welcome to today's episode of LNN. My name is Lynn Ngugi. You know, I get to be so happy when you get to join us for another episode. I've said we are going to have thought-provoking conversations because we need to do this civic education together. My guest today is no stranger on the show. You've seen her once when we were talking about seed sovereignty, and thank you so much for the feedback you gave us on that episode. So in case you missed it, please go watch, because today we continue to tackle on the bills that are being tabled on Parliament to make sure that we have a hard time when it comes to the agriculture sector, especially for the small-scale farmers. We will be talking about those bills, and also she'll be telling us where we are as a country, and also feel free to leave your thoughts on the comment section. But before I let her introduce herself, of course, I have to say thank you so much to the amazing partners of today's conversation, Tap Tap Send. You know by now, if you're watching this from diaspora, why don't you try using Tap Tap to send money to your loved ones back home? And by using my code LIN, you get to be able to have a bonus on the numbers that are appearing on your screen right now. And also to say thank you so much to you guys for getting us to 1 million subscribers. I honestly don't take that one for granted, and my amazing team for coming through and making sure that we continue educating you one episode at a time. Do not forget to subscribe. It's free, and it goes a long way into making sure that our work is viewed by many people across the continent. And now, of course, without further ado, please allow me to let my guest today introduce herself. Oh, that is my Leon.
Good morning, Lynn.
Good morning.
Good morning, viewers.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
You look amazing.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Sunshine. Sunshine.
It's a morning. You know, the glow.
And it's October. It's a beautiful month.
Yeah, it's the beginning of the month.
Yes.
And we thank God.
Yes.
We thank God to be here.
Nice to have you here
Nice
again.
to be here, Lynn. Anytime. It's such a pleasure to be here and have these conversations that not many people are having these conversations.
Man.
So thank you for creating such a platform.
We will not fear. Kenya ni home.
No, we will not fear.
Yes.
We don't have a choice. You fear, you don't fear, the results are the same. So you'd rather go. You'd rather go and do this.
All right.
Yeah.
I really can't wait to get into today's conversation.
Yeah.
But maybe for someone who missed out on you on our last episode, would you please introduce yourself and tell our people what you do?
Okay. My name is Mary Kadomiriongo. I'm a farmer. I'm a dairy farmer, horticulture farmer for many years. But besides that, I am a leadership and governance expert. And we are linking food security, food sovereignty with governance. So that's my expertise. It's such a pleasure to have this conversation because this is a conversation that I think it's way overdue. So I would love to keep talking to you, interacting, and seeing how we can exchange information.
Good. And before we go deeper, we are seeing a change in how we are having our conversations. People are paying attention to the main roles we have in the country. People who do not even practice agriculture are also paying attention to what is happening in our agricultural sector. When you see these conversations happening now, how does that make you feel?
I'm happy because I think for the longest time, people are just asleep. People don't know what has been happening. And the status quo is being put in an uncomfortable place because right now, Kenyans are reading bills of parliament like they read a Bible. People are analyzing, understanding the days we are living in. If you ask me, Lynn, we are not at a good place. We are in very shifty situations. So it calls for everyone to understand more. No one is going to save you. No one is going to come and rescue your situation. We have to wake up. We have to read. We have to understand. We have to analyze. We must have these conversations. Since independence, we have never had such an attack on our most vulnerable existence as a people. Imagine when you attack food, not money, not anything else. When you go for food, then that's a conversation that every single Kenyan needs to have.
Good. And just almost less than 2 weeks ago, Sabina Chege tabled a horticultural bill, crop bill in Parliament. I'm gonna let you walk us through that. But I was so astonished when I read what the PA said for agriculture, that bill is so punitive and that it's a private bill and the ministry has nothing to do with it. So at what point do we get to live in a world where people are tabling private bills that the PS is terming punitive? When these people don't work together.
You get a lot of questions. Honorable Sabina Chege brings a bill in Parliament. It's called the Horticulture Crop Bill 2024. Oh my goodness. You cannot believe what's in that bill. If you're growing anything horticulture, fruit, vegetables, skuma, terere, machungwa, dania, these crops that go for 6 weeks all the way to 3 months, they are all classified under horticulture. And that's a huge consumption. Even things like onions, things like garlic, things like ginger, things like beetroot. All those things are horticulture crops because they're short crops. They do not go, a horticulture crop doesn't go over 3 months, unless maybe the first harvest has been done in 3 months, then after 2 weeks, there's always another harvest. But it's a very short crop. So she brings a bill in Parliament that says, for farmers, let me just pull it back a bit.
Go on.
There's a document that is called the KS 1758. It's a security document. It's a document regarding safety ways of producing food in Kenya. They call it KS 1758. So in that document, they say that the way we produce, the way we farm horticultural food is not safe. Regulating the number of times you're going to spray pesticides, you're going to spray herbicides in your farm. They talk about the markets, how we sell our foods, on the ground, on the roadside, how we, it's an hygienic, it's an hygienic way.
It's not cute.
It's not clean.
It's not demure.
So that document is proposing ways by which we can produce and sell horticulture in a cleaner way.
Okay.
You read that document, you're just going to laugh. So they say the way the mama mbogas, they tandika food on the India markets. When you go in a market, you'll always find mama mbogas on the road.
Yes.
They say that is unhygienic. They talk about how, you see, like when you bring carrots, carrot is an horticulture crop from the farm, zimeja matope, the way they are washed, and packed in gunias. The process that Kenyan farmers are doing now is unhygienic. And you look at these people, you're wondering. So now in this bill, which captures the spirit of KS 1758, talks about a farmer needing a Nema Certificate to practice horticulture. A Nema certificate costs how much? Minimum 10K, 10,000. The same farmer needs to take their soil and their water for analysis. The minimum for that, for one, is 2,500. If it goes high, another almost 5,000, 10,000 expense. They also say you have to take your manure for analysis to the relevant authority, of course, under the Ministry of Agriculture. When you put those small costs together, minimum 60,000, those small costs. And don't forget, I told you horticulture is a short crop. So in 3 months, I go through this process. Another 3 months, I go through the same process. Lynn, I'm telling you, a farmer in Kiambu County who is doing dania. Dania 6 weeks ushavuna. They do not make a profit of 20,000. Get your labor out, get your fertilizers out, get your seeds out. Everything. That farmer doesn't take 20,000 shillings.
So you're telling me, unless I have 20,000 on the minimum, there's no way I'm practicing that sort of agriculture.
Thank you. There is no way you're growing anything horticulture. And she's forgetting, we did not start growing crops because we were growing to sell. We grow crops to feed our families. It's the excess of it that we take to the market. We as a farmer, as a small-scale farmer, any person you ask who does farming in Kenya, the first reason for you to farm is to feed your family. So it's like you extended your kitchen garden a bit bigger because you have like a 50 by 100, 100 by 100, a quarter. These lands are never big, Lynn. They are not even like into the acres. They have just small parcels of land. So the excess of that is what they take to Marikiti, is what they take to Githurai. Okay? So you've seen those regulations I'm talking about. And conveniently, the member of parliament forgets who regulates herbicides, pesticides in the market. There's already a regulator. So she forgot that bit. She also forgets we have county governments that run our markets. I'm sure you know, you go anywhere, Githurai, you go anywhere. Isi soko zote Ruiru. You will see Kanjo people charging market people. Those days used to be 20, but I think now it's like 100 per day. They pay. The vendors in the market always pay a fee every single day to sell. So now the blame of how the wares in the market are sold is no longer on the county government. It's now on the seller. So how is it the responsibility of the seller to make sure they sell in the market, yet it is the county government that runs the market? Are you seeing that? So they've forgotten about all the other agricultural agencies that are supposed to implement the rules that have been laid out, and they shift the entire blame on the
farmer.
On the farmer. Because mostly, let me tell you, Lynn, from production, that is now growing the crop, to packaging, to transportation, to taking them to the market. Basically, it's this farmer who does this. Our watu wa malori, they're just middlemen. There are very few farmers that will, even you see, when you go to Marigiti, just go to Marigiti on an early morning, you'll see farmers with big bags of either nyanya, crates of nyanya, bags of dania. It's the brokers that will buy and go to sell. Yes. But basically, the farmer is one who brings their food in the
market.
In the market. So now we are going to punish. Actually, you're punishing the farmer. You're punishing the farmer on the failure of the government. Who licenses the companies that manufacture, sell herbicides and pesticides? The Kenya Bureau of Standards is supposed to know if the pesticides we are using are legally or they are actually like on the standards that they should be used on the farm. Okay?
Yes.
We have agencies. You know, Lynn, in the Ministry of Agriculture, we have 15 agencies under the Ministry of Agriculture. If I mention a few, we'll have the Kenya Irrigation Board is there. We have KFIS there. We have the fisheries there. We have all their 15 agencies. Each agency under the Ministry of Agriculture is supposed to do a particular job. Even the Kenya Seed Company is still an agency to make sure we have good seeds, certified seeds. So now all those 15 agencies have failed technically. That's what the Member of Parliament is saying. And now she's brought a bill to shift the blame of the agencies, the failure of the county government to make sure we are selling our foods in clean markets. So that blame is now loaded on the farmer. So the farmer now has to take the blame. Oh, you didn't sell clean food. Oh, you put the food on the ground. Oh, you sprayed too much food. This is an excuse. It's a total excuse. I have told you, Lynn, it's expensive to produce. Last time we sat on this couch, I told you the biggest problem in farming is cost of production. It is so expensive to just grow small crops because of your labor, because of your inputs in terms of fertilizer and chemicals. So you as a farmer, are you going to excessively spray your food, your crop in the farm, and the market is not changing in terms of price? So you're increasing your cost. Yeah. So you cannot tell me a farmer is using chemicals excessively. They cannot even afford it. Hata ile kidogo wana spray, they are straining to do it. So now they say we are using excessive chemicals in the farm. That's why now they are bringing this bill to regulate how a farmer is producing their food.
But let me ask, because I saw when I was following that conversation, I saw somewhere they said this is not going to affect the small scale farmers. This will affect people who are producing in large quantities. Where is the lie or truth in that? Because a law is a law. Is there a law for small scale farmers, or is there a specific law for people who are doing this in large production?
What a lie. That's the same lie they put in the Dengu bill. They talked about, this bill is for large-scale producers. They didn't talk about it's not affecting. But clearly on all the clauses, if you go through them, they've not specified who is a large-scale and who is a small scale. Let's go back to talking about large-scale and small-scale. Lynn, how many people do you know that farm large-scale? Okay, fine. We don't even have the description of large-scale farmers right now.
But by assuming...
But an assumption.
Maybe even the shows I've done have only made 2 or 3.
And they must be pretty large.
Yes.
We don't even know yet in terms of government description of a large-scale farmer. But in those clauses, I've gone through those bills myself, there is no description. There is no description of who a large-scale farmer is. And me as a farmer, as a Kenyan, I can tell you, there is no large-scale farmer who feeds, for example, Nairobi. None. They are all small-scale farmers.
Haki ndio wamejaa Githurai, Muthurwa.
Small-scale farmers. Ata nini Marikiti. Small-scale farmers. Show me someone producing tomato on a piece of land which is more than 10,000 acres. None. Where is even that land? From here, even if you're going on your road to Mount Kenya, show me a land, unless you're going to the Kakuzis, unless you're going to the Delemeas,
or Karakutus.
Or those huge ranches. There is no Kenyan who is farming at such a large scale.
Okay.
So it's a lie. When they talk about large scale, it's a total lie. So they want to punish the farmer for the failures of the government itself. So then you ask yourself, what is the intention of these people? Because who licenses these companies that produce herbicides and pesticides? It's the government. So are you going to come for the farmer, or you should go for the company itself?
I think the company.
You go for the company. Actually,
quality control should be on the company before it's to the farmer.
Thank you. Actually, the thing is, this our government inapenda sarakasi. They just want to dance around issues, but they do not have a clear intention of solving these problems. They know the money in agriculture. Lynn, even though you bring someone on this show, and I encourage you to bring people who do export, agriculture export. Anyone exporting to UAE, exporting to Europe, if it's avocado, let them give you the standards of export. Export, they want organic. They want organically produced food. Minimum chemicals, even from the fertilizer level. But now, when they come to the farmer, they are loading that whole narrative on the farmer. We want to produce our food well and cheap. What is cheap? Less chemicals. So we'd rather go organic. Then they are talking about analyzing our manure. I live in Kiambu County. Every single morning, there are lorries coming to our home area, bringing manure. Because for you to produce nice vegetables, you cannot use just fertilizer. You must have a cow manure, goat manure. We use rabbit urine, which is very good for crops. We pour, like when you're doing dania in unamwaga. That is organic way of producing. And farmers, for example, I'll give an example in Kiabu County. They know. So we are using less of factory fertilizer. We are using more of organic. So now they're attacking the organic. Until we bring our manure to be PIMWAD, like they need to know the content of the manure. So you and the member of parliament to bring in this bill is a person who comes from Mount Kenya region, Murang'a.
She was elected on the backbone of agriculture.
Exactly. She's elected on the backbone of agriculture.
But then she even elected or nominated?
No, nominated. Nominated and under Jubilee.
Yes.
She's nominated under Jubilee. And I had a meeting with a member of parliament who sits in the agriculture committee yesterday. And I sat with that member of parliament just raising questions on what is this committee doing about all these bills. And he told me, these bills are coming at supersonic speed. You don't even know where they're coming from. Kidogo, it's in the committee, first reading, zinapelekwa hivi. And even the member of parliament is at pains to explain to me why the bills, there's actually a bill on coffee, there's a bill on tea that is actually supposed to protect the farmer, that has never left the draft level. So no one bothers about those ones. But you see those ones that are having an ulterior motive, they push them.
The one working against the farmer, they pass quickly.
Pass them.
But the ones protecting the farmer are still...
no one. That one actually has there is no cash injection on that bill. So, no, the members of parliament, the Shuguliki, no one bothers.
So, who sponsors these bills? I said earlier in one of my videos, I'm failing to see the correlation between, and by no means am I saying Sabina Chege cannot do this by herself.
No.
But I fail really to see the correlation between Sabina Chege, agriculture background, a bill that's against farmers. So who sponsors these bills? And according to
the Ministry of Agriculture
the Ministry of Agriculture, the PS terms this as punitive.
Yes.
So me, even in my small thoughts, I'm like, so who sponsored this bill actually? Who is behind these bills?
Lynn,
and according to you, what's the end goal here?
Lynn, let me tell you. We have to have very honest conversations. We cannot pretend. We must have very honest conversation as a people. 2020, is it 2022 or 2023? 2022 end. After this government took over leadership, there was a lift on the ban on GMO.
Yes.
After the lift on ban on GMO, there has been a floodgates of bills. I'm sure that there's even a water bill in parliament. There is going to be PPP, private partnerships with government on resources, whereby even a private individual can sort of harvest a natural resource, like a river, do a dam. That's like what we've done, we've seen on the JKIA.
Yes.
That's what I'm trying to say. There was a floodgates of these bills that has come that are very sinister. And it even raises more questions when a bill is sponsored in parliament and the Ministry of Agriculture disowns that bill and says this is a private member's bill. That's just not the only one. After Sabina Chege puts the horticulture crop bill, rice bill was also brought in.
Rice what?
Rice bill. There's a rice bill.
Mchele
bill. There's a bill in parliament controlling rice production.
What has Mchele done now?
Now that's the question.
Just like,
or the other question is, what has Mchele not been doing?
Okay, tell me more. I'm interested in this one.
Now, farmers, they're still doing the same small-scale farmers. They're talking about large-scale producers of rice. There is a board that people need to get registered that regulates who grows rice. They are still putting requirements, registration fee. If you scan through all the bills, let me mention them, just going through a bit. There's the horticulture. This one we're discussing, the horticulture crop bill. There is the rice bill, the dengue bill that has gone down, thank God. There is the water bill. There is the livestock bill 2024. There's the agriculture professionals bill. There is the nuts and oil bill. I don't know if I've mentioned all of them. A couple of those bills. When you scan through those bills, they have something in common. In every production of this crop or planting of this crop, you must be registered in a board. Okay? So there's a board that is going to be established by the cabinet secretary, and every person involved in this crop production that is growing, you need a registration.
Okay.
Okay.
That's okay. We good.
Now, there are requirements for you to be registered, which is what we've never seen in this country. You need a minimum of a diploma certificate in agriculture. I know that's shocking. Many Kenyans don't understand that. What your mother, who has never gone to school, has been doing, will not be able to do it because she does not have a minimum of a diploma certificate to be registered in these boards. I hope now you're together.
Yeah.
So some of these bills are even talking about a degree, but the minimum of them is a diploma. Then these bills also talk about if you're caught growing this crop, processing, transportation, packaging, and you do not have now this requirement, there is a fine. The minimum of these fines is 500,000 Kenya shillings. The minimum of these fines. So on this bill, some of it goes to 1 million. Now, when I tell people they're taking away agriculture, they're making it a criminal activity. It's like, if I'm caught growing anything without now having done all this, I'm a criminal. So literally, they're criminalizing the act of agriculture. What does that do? Let me just tell you, Lynn. I'm sure you saw, is it last week or last week but one, when the bonus for tea rolled out.
Yes.
Every single tea farmer was on the street.
It's tea, even coffee.
Even coffee. I followed the tea one. Meru, Nyeri, Bomet, everywhere they were on the streets. By the way, in Bomet, even people were killed. They were shot because they were in the streets. The farmers know bonus imelipwa pesa ngapi, the dollar. Like they know the money that comes. But the money that got to the farmer, some even got 27 per kg, 37. It is absurd. Okay? Shillings. They were not. They get hundreds per kg on bonus. That's the highest payment on the coffee, on the tea. Don't forget, tea is registered. Tea is now, you see, these registrations I'm talking about, tea is already there.
Registered. Okay.
And we've never had a problem with tea because tea is actually not a food crop. But now we are having a problem with all these bills because these are food crops. And I've mentioned to you, food crops are grown to feed families. The excess of that production is what we sell. When you read our constitution says, and these members of parliament have never passed those bills, they're supposed to protect our indigenous seeds, they're supposed to protect foods for sovereignty, like enacting bills that tighten the spirit of the constitution. That has never been done. Since the enactment of that constitution, it's never been done. So when you sit and ask, and I'm sure even you're asking yourself, where are these bills coming from? What's you really need to connect the dots really quickly. What is really happening? What is up? And if you saw what happened in the tea industry, walianza kukatakata, walichoma Meru, they burnt the farms. That's what they want. They want to frustrate the farmer. Once they frustrate the farmer, you go and gnaw all those nyanyas and throw. You get so frustrated when you realize the effort you've put in this thing, but you cannot get anything out of it. Once the farmer is frustrated and there is no production, where is the production going to? The production is going to be taken over by the multinationals. Who did we call them? We call these multinationals the large-scale
farmer.
The large-scale farmer. And do not forget, the same government had introduced clauses of whereby if you've left your land fallow for a particular period of time, the government is going to repossess your land. So now you start connecting the dots between water, land, bill, seed, then you realize there is an intent on these bills. We need to ask ourselves, Lynn, is this what we want as a country? Honestly, is this what we want as a country? In our constitution, I was going through our constitution when you were having the press conference. Indigenous seeds are protected in the constitution. So when multinationals come and take our seeds, in Kenya right now, the GMO seeds you have is cotton and maize. Let's talk about cotton. Let's just do like an example of cotton. Kenya was a huge producer of cotton a few years ago. Huge producer of cotton. Right now, as we're speaking, after now, the GMO seed was allowed. Let's thank God. Cotton is not food. Let's talk about cotton. It is a raw material for fabric and such. So growing of cotton was going to be, we were going to grow cotton using GMO seeds to increase production. But there's something they do not tell you, Lynn. The way you grow a GMO seed is not the way you grow an organic seed. You cannot grow a GMO seed without it's tailored for particular pesticides and herbicides. So a local farmer does not afford that chemical line of supporting the seed. You know what happened in Kenya cotton farming? Imeisha. Farmers don't do it because cost of production, because of these GMO seeds, cost of production has gone, it's gone up. Now I'm giving you a narrative of cotton farming. Literally died in Kenya. So I was actually having this conversation with the member of parliament and you were analyzing. So now since we are a year plus, we're going to 2 years since GMO has been legalized in Kenya. So we
that's GMO on cotton and maize.
And maize.
Okay.
So we need to do like an analysis of the 2 years. What has improved? Because of now the ban was lifted. What has improved? Actually, things have gone worse. Let me give you an example of Zambia. You see these things that are happening in Kenya now. They have been implemented in Zambia from 2016. Zambia abandoned what they call archaic, traditional African ways of food production. Because the story is, all these bills, Lynn, they come from policy documents. These policy documents are formulated by the Ministry of Agriculture. And you know what these policy documents say? They say that we cannot food sustain our populations. Okay? So it means our way of food production is not sustainable to feed our populations. We need to abandon our ways of food production to embrace the modern ways of food production to be able to sustain food production for our population. Basically, in simple language, tukiendelea kulima vile tunalima tutakufa njaa.
So in short, wanatusaidia.
Exactly.
Wanatusaidia.
This is what the policy documents talk about. I want to talk to you about Zimbabwe. Zambia. They adopted from 2016. And this adoption means what? They went to GMO seeds. They went the chemical way of production. They did monoculture. Monoculture is where you don't mix crops. You know, like where we come from, you do maize, you do beans.
You do onions here,
Thank you
do this there. Yes.
That's our way of farming now. This monoculture way of farming. If it's maize. If it's beans. You don't mix them. So Zambia went that direction. My dear, as we are speaking, Zambia is at the verge of starvation. Zambia cannot feed itself. Zambia are importing. Yani, it's a crisis in Zambia. When you read what's happening in Zambia right now, it's a national crisis. I think I read 20 million people are dying of hunger. They cannot feed themselves. Because what? Let's relate. You want us to go to this modern way of farming. You've brought us the GMO seeds. You've told us to use the chemicals. Did you give us the money to do this farming? You did not give us that money. Our economic ability, does it support that way of farming? It doesn't support that way of farming. Okay, so what happens? We are left with no food.
And once our soil is touched by GMO, it's game over.
It's over. The soils become acidic. You see those hard soils. You know what is a live soil? People don't know. When you go to the farm, anytime you go to the farm, chota ile mchanga. Live soils has living organisms.
Yes.
Tugunyo, tududu, and it's mostly moist. That's the way our soils used to be when we were growing. Hata saa zile hakuna mvua. That soil is never like dry and cracky. It is a living soil. It has 2 animals in it. That's the good soil for crops. But the soils we have, because of excessive use of chemicals, acidity in those soils, is a rock. We have rocks that we are calling soil imekauka kabisa. That soil cannot grow anything. without now the chemicals, the what. Okay? So we are being told to abandon what we've done since we were created by God as Africans. And people easy, these things you are doing were wrong. Let's do this. But now these things they are bringing in Kenya are failed in other countries. So we urgently need to stop what is happening in this country. What I'm telling this government and people is actually not the government. This change has to come from the people. The people have to say no. Let's stop the GMO conversation. It's not sustainable. GMO is not sustainable in Africa. It's not sustainable in Kenya, because they're telling us use the GMOs, use the chemicals. We don't have the money to sustain that. So they're going to take away food because now, okay, fine, we can't do it. We can't farm. We don't have the money. Who has the money? Them. So they will come and take our lands and do the farming. They have not even done a study. The studies are there, but they've not released documentation on the relationship between GMO and so many other things like cancers. They've not given us, let's have a whole conversation around these GMOs. Let's just be very honest. Let's stop rushing. Let's have a sober conversation.
What's the urgency?
Let me tell you, Lynn, and I will tell you something about what is happening right now. It is all capitalism. I told you, if they control our health, is it Sha or Shif or whatever? I don't know what it is.
That Sha.
That thing.
Shif and Sha.
They control our food. They control our education. And they control our information. They have finished us. We are slaves. And what is happening right now, our government is the middleman that is auctioning us to the multinationals. That's what they're doing. But as Kenyans, we must sit back and see what is going on. I come from a coffee growing area in Meru. When I was young, we carried coffee on our backs to the factories. Yes. Did that coffee farm, did it change our lives? Honestly, no. Our parents have struggled. I've not seen rich parents out of coffee farming. No, I haven't. I'm sure you connect with me on that.
Yes, my Guka was a coffee farmer.
I have not seen. I was educated. Person was supposed to be educated by coffee, but I ended up being educated by bursaries because the coffee was not coming through. We are seeing farmers of tea that are under KTDA. Have the lives of these farmers changed? So if we can take an analysis of the crops, cash crops that we have years of we can do data collection from coffee and tea. If coffee and tea have not succeeded, why do we want to take all our food crops the same direction, which feed the family? Because that's what we are doing. I think we are on a very dangerous road.
Have you seen how Tanzania is winning matters horticulture? It's like every market is there. Yeah, they've made it very easy for their farmers to practice this. They don't have these crazy licenses. They've actually made it very easy for them. So all the market is actually going to Tanzania right now as we speak. You didn't know? Hiya.
I'm telling you, and now that you're talking about that, even when I go to the market, I usually ask my kitunguu guy, hii imetoka wapi? Hii ni ya Tanzania. Hii imetoka wapi? Ni ya Tanzania. In Tanzania, the farming is subsidized. By the way, let me shock you. If you're going to Tanzania and coming on the border, you will not even be allowed to come in with 5 kgs of rice. The rice in Tanzania is not the rice in Kenya. Their rice is the highest quality, locally grown, highest quality rice. Subsidized. The seeds are subsidized, the fertilizers are subsidized, the farms. Yani production in Tanzania is so low. When you go to Marigiti, you know those migukumi lorries that you find in the Marigiti, huge ones, with the oranges, with the lemons, with onions. They are all from Tanzania. So how is even a Kenyan farmer going to compete? How? Maize farming, maize is actually a raw material for all food for cows, for pigs, for chicken. You know, dairy mills, this food that feeds all these animals. The biggest raw material is maize. Do you know where we get all the maize to feed, to make food for our animals? Uganda. all the lorries you see coming from Uganda, zimeja maize jam. Is it because we do not have land in Kenya? We have land. But the cost of producing one bag of maize in Kenya compared to one bag in Uganda and another one bag in Tanzania, it's better not to do it in Kenya. Just go and buy the Tanzanian and the Ugandan because it is way cheaper. So the Kenyan farmer is beaten from every side. The government comes for you. The market dynamics come for you because now your cost of production is high. So I'd rather buy what is coming from these other countries. So if you see what is happening in this country, Lynn, it's dangerous. It's a dangerous trend. They are taking over food production. When you take over food production, you know what you have done? You're taking over the sovereignty of the people. There's a scenario I would want to give you. When you're dressing up in the morning, who chooses what you're going to put on?
Me.
You just wake up and you say, okay, this is the dress I want to put on. This is the shoe I want to put on. That's a right you are given by God. They're decisions you make because God gave you. That is a human right. There are decisions I have to make about myself. That's why I'm not a slave. We are not slaves. Food sovereignty, it is you have the right to produce and to decide what you will eat. It is a right given by God. It is a right entrenched in our constitution. But our government is coming for it. Right? So like I'm not able to choose. Like when I wake up and say, I want to eat ugali, I can't make that decision. That decision has been made by the government. That's what we call food sovereignty. We are taking over our rights. Like when you wake up every morning, you have to ask someone, what do I put on? Am I putting on this dress or this?
Yeah.
That is what we call sovereignty.
Do I shower or not?
Do I shower or not? Whatever that person says
is what you
day.
do.
So figure that in. That is what we call food sovereignty. We need to be let alone. Actually, you know what we need our parliaments to do? I'm praying God. Can we have that one sane member of parliament? One, we don't need two. Can we have one sane member of parliament draft a bill to protect our food sovereignty? If that bill passes, then all the other bills are going to be irrelevant. So what we are doing right now as farmers and friends of farmers, we've come together and we branded ourselves as Kilimo cha Haki. We want to go to court, and I'm actually calling upon any lawyer in Kenya who would want to come and work with us pro bono. We want to ban sponsoring of agriculture bills in parliament. Like we want to close the door, then have conversations when the door is closed. We ban any sponsoring of food bills in parliament because they are illegal, they are unconstitutional. But you know, this parliament is not, they don't care about what the constitution says. Once we stop now allowing any bills to come, then let's go back and have a conversation about GMOs. Let's have a full conversation about GMOs. And not this public participation that they are doing on emails. Let's do proper town halls. Let's go to the farmers. Let's go to the markets. Let's talk to the doctors. You know, let's have a whole conversation around GMOs, because we've not even heard the voice of doctors or the people in the medical field. Let them tell us, what is the relationship of GMOs and cancer cases? What is the relationship of GMOs and autism? It's there. Let's have those documents. Let's have the conversation about GMOs and reduced fertility. Once we have those conversations, then we can accept
or reject
with information. But right now, no information, no consultation, no public participation.
So, for the GMO bill on cotton and maize to have been lifted, why had it been banned in the first place?
It was banned entirely. GMO were banned in the Kibaki administration. The Minister of Health then did documents and said there was a huge connection between GMOs and cancer in the Kibaki administration. And there was a public participation to that effect. So actually, the banning purely was on health grounds. It was not even on the risk of our indigenous seeds. The ban was purely because there was overwhelming evidence of connection of GMOs and cancer cases. So the minister, the government, the Kibaki administration said, no, not to GMO. That stayed for 20 years, 10 of Kibaki and 10 of Uhuru. But now in the Ruto administration, they lifted the ban, but they didn't look at the documents. They didn't go back to see why it was banned in the first place. There was no, maybe someone needs to come and tell me, there was no public participation. There was no conversation at whatever level when the ban on GMO was lifted. You see, you sometimes you learn from your friends, you learn from your neighbors. In Europe right now, I'm telling you, if you talk to farmers that take food to Europe, there are stringent rules and regulations to check if your food is organic and the number of chemicals that have been used or the composition of chemicals that have been used on those crops. You go to Russia, the entire east side of the world, GMO is banned. Banned, you go to jail. You go to jail. Why can't we collect data from all these places and have a sober conversation and understand why did Russia ban GMO? Why? It is because you take the existence, like the whole existence of the human beings, you give it to one person. When I was here last, Lynn, I told you, GMOs are formulated in the lab. They are like the way that seed is engineered, it's engineered to achieve a particular aspect. For example, a seed is engineered to make sure when the crop is growing, it doesn't attract pests. For instance, it's engineered to have a terminator gene. Like once it grows, you cannot plant those seeds.
Replant.
You cannot replant. All that is formulated in the lab. Who controls that lab? Individuals, one person. Why are we giving the existence of a human race to one human being?
But who is that?
The buyers, the Sygentas, yes, the Monsantos. They're the ones in the lab sitting, deciding, okay, we are going to make these seeds in a particular way. Are you seeing what I'm talking about? Like we are giving people the right to decide if we live or we die. Because when you touch food, if someone decides today, there are actually documents on science, Lynn, that have proved that GMO seeds can target a race. GMO seeds can even target a sex. So like I'm producing wheat, and this wheat is going to target a female child. You see the dangers of GMOs? What God gave us naturally, seeds are natural.
I'm producing this to target you black people.
Thank you. They are engineering seeds in the lab to target even a black, like I'm targeting the black race, they will do it. But in nature, we come from nature. We are supposed to be having a symbiotic relationship in nature. Nature gives us everything. Nature gives us water. If you walk in the mountains, water is flowing from springs. If you go to the forest, you have fruits that are nutritious. Nature. Haikutengenezwa na mtu, God put them there. So we are transferring nature, giving it to a human being, and allowing that human being to engineer nature against the human race.
And decide who lives and who dies.
Are you seeing now the conversation we've not had on GMOs?
Depopulation.
It's a depopulation agenda. It is actually, once you hit, and these people don't even hide it, Lynn. They speak on public. They say we are going to use seed engineering to reduce world population. They say we are going to use seed, we are going to use vaccine as a depopulation thing. They don't even hide it. It's not gossip, just that when something is in the open, people don't look at it more. But they talk about these things. And when I do civic education, I talk to farmers, I talk to people. People do not know what is happening. People do not have an idea what is happening. I am calling on Kenyans. I usually tell people when I do spaces on Twitter, every Kenyan needs to take 3 hours a day. Every Kenyan wake up, dedicate 3 hours a day on saving the country. You can do that by studying and understanding the bills going to parliament. If you have money, sponsor things that are going to save the country. If you are a lawyer, go to court. Not because someone has paid you, go to court and save the country. If you are a doctor and understands what is going on, wake up, speak. Because collectively, we stand. One person cannot save the situation. All of us need to wake up and call upon, like call out to the government. No, you're doing something wrong. We need to call out to the government and tell them, no, you're doing something wrong.
Enough is enough.
Enough is enough. No, you can't. They are doing something wrong. Where they say that, was it last year, 2022, we had very good rains. 2022, we had enough rains. The first, you remember when we had floods? That was towards the end of 2022. But even in April, we had enough rains. Actually, in Kenya last year, we had a bumper harvest. So, and you've seen this government, when they go, they say, hey, last year, food prices, we managed to stabilize food prices. They didn't stabilize food prices. God stabilizes food production.
Did that by
God
himself.
did it. There was rain. When you go to the market, there is food. It is because we had enough rain. That is what happened. And let's stop pulling ourselves away from nature. Actually, we need to go back to nature. We need to go to the natural way of food production. We need to be close to nature. We need to plant more trees. We need to plant more indigenous trees. We need to protect our forests. We need to go back more to nature. Because then I think we are really pulling ourselves away and we are losing it, Lynn. We are losing it as a people. If you ask me, I forgot to mention something.
Go on.
When there are these documents called the agriculture policy documents that talk about food sustainability, I mentioned earlier. What that document says is that, as I said, is that we need modern ways of food production, okay? So that we can sustain our food production. Then those documents give us solutions. What was the solution in those documents? We go GMO. But they did not look at other avenues of food sustainability. So when you have one problem, do you sort your problem with one solution? No. If you're going to town, there are many roads that will take you to CBD.
Yes.
So we have a problem, but these documents mean we can only sort our problems through one solution.
GMOs.
Did we look at other ways? Did we?
What other ways are we looking at?
We have other ways of food sustainability. This government has not invested in value addition. The kind of waste we have in agriculture. Lynn, and you go to the markets, see the number of tomatoes that rot. In the mango season, see January, February tunaenda mango season, see the number of mangoes that will be thrown away. When you go to a cassava farmer, see the number of food that rots. Even domas. Why hasn't our government invested in farmers in value addition? I talked about these agencies that are under Minister of Agriculture. It is so sad the things that happen in this country. It is really heartbreaking. You see now, me and you here and our audience, we are thinking of solutions because we know the problem. We are thinking about solutions. It is so sad that our government doesn't think about solutions. Our government thinks about where there is money to be eaten. That's the only time they think. Appa, is there like a kickback to make? That's how they think.
Oh, we have unemployment. Let's ship people to Germany.
Thank you. They do not look at solutions. Oh, we can actually import maize from Mexico. 3,000 per bag for that. Let tons and tons. They do not think about the farmer. So now I was talking about having a problem and sorting it with one solution. Under the Minister of Agriculture, I've talked about 15 agencies. We do not have one agency that deals with value addition on agriculture.
Wait, what?
We have none. Lynn, let me tell you today, if you go to the supermarket, I want you to do that survey when you go to the supermarket. A packet of potato crisps, tuchukue the 500 grams will cost 100 and something. Look at the same crisps, ndoma crisps, the arrowroot crisps. It is 500-600. It's damn expensive. Look at cassava crisps, one of the most expensive. If you go to Westlands, there's a place Indians love eating cassava crisps. Cars park looking for cassava crisps because there is none. There has never been a government agency that properly thinks about value addition. You know, when you do value addition, more farmers are going to grow these crops. Okay? When you know as a farmer, I bring my tomatoes in the market, zisiponunuliwa, napeleka kwa factory.
Juice.
Thank you. Our government, let's not even talk about them establishing the factories. Let them have a framework or even of information. Let them help farmers to import these machines duty-free or tax-free. These machines are coming from China, whereby you can process, say, tomatoes and have longer shelf life, whereby cassavas badala ziharibike, they can be processed to crisps. Nothing. The government gives zero support system
To value addition.
to value addition, and that's what we need in farming. That's what we need as a farmer.
But kama tujaifanya value addition in coffee, and our textbooks were full of how Kenya is good when it comes to coffee.
Yeah.
But we still, I don't know, that still pisses me off.
I'm telling you, it breaks your heart when I learned the other day, even Ketepa is not Kenyan owned.
No way.
Ketepa is not Kenyan owned.
Who owns it?
Oh, it's a Britain company. Please.
Kadomi, I trust you.
No. You have to go and check.
We gonna do have a
and check.
Who
Ketepa brand, who owns Ketepa?
No, wait,
Yes.
man. Wait.
Yes, please do it.
But they're saying Ketepa Limited is owned by the tea farmers of Kenya through the Kenya Tea Development Agencies and the Kenya Tea Growers Association.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That is not true.
They are saying the Kenya Tea Development Agency is the majority shareholder.
In which company? In which company? I will give you those details. It is, when you go, you buy Ketepa tea. I was so shocked to learn, since colonial times, it is not a Kenyan company that even owns Ketepa tea.
Chill. We go deeper?
Please go deeper. They are
Kidogo. Okay, so I can repeat, just so that it's a quick Google, guys. You can Google with me. So Ketepa. Okay,
I want you to.
Okay.
I want to continue checking.
Okay, so I'm gonna repeat. Ketepa Limited is owned by the tea farmers of Kenya through the Kenya Tea Development Agency Limited, that's KTDA, and the Kenya Tea Growers Association, KTGA.
Mm-hmm.
The Kenya Tea Development Agency is the majority shareholder. It represents over 450,000 small-scale tea farmers spread all over the country. These farmers own over 60 tea processing factories countrywide and produces over 60% of all Kenya tea. Mm-hmm. Other major shareholders include Brook Bond Kenya Limited.
Thank you.
James Finley, Williamson Tea, and Eastern Produce EPK.
You have it.
Among others, who together own 38 tea processing factories and produce about 40% of the tea produced in Kenya.
Thank you.
So,
now
hold on.
Yes.
So, it's okay. We're going to leave the 60% to Kenyans.
Mm-hmm.
But why are we having Ketepa being why are we having 40% of Ketepa?
Brook Bond. Check the Brook Bond, those companies you mentioned there.
No, in the hands of foreign.
Thank you.
Hata Ketepa iwezi kuwa yetu 90%.
Nakwambia ukweli. Now, after you do that you have done. Actually, they are not even saying it properly. They are not. You need go to the details and see who owns even our own Ketepa. That's why when I go to the supermarket right now, I want to buy 100% Kenyan owned. Brook Bond, when you check the history of Brook Bond, even the days of colonialism, these companies just change names, Lynn. They just change names. Please. You'll see a chain, mother, a conglomerate of this.
Mm-hmm.
I will shock you. We are the producers of the best coffee in the world. We have none that is a Kenyan brand of our coffees. Go. The Domans, I don't know the word, all those coffees. When you go do a research, check who owns all these coffees that we call Kenyan coffee. It is Kenyan by production, yes. But who makes the money? Not Kenya. So we have examples of failure in tea and in coffee. Those are our cash crops. So now they want to take our food to that direction, Lynn.
what's the obsession with clean food? Because, you know, GMO is very attractive.
Yes.
Ushaona mahindi ya GMO ama mandizi, it's no spots, no nothing. So what's this obsession with our food is dirty, don't put it on the ground, don't do this? What's this obsession?
I think we've been brainwashed, Lynn. I think as a people, we've been brainwashed in such high levels that we are made to think everything about us is wrong. So you're told you need clean, ijaguzwa na insect. Even our education system plays a very big part to brainwash us as Kenyans and as Africans. But what I know about food, you see food that is rotting, that's the best food to eat. It's only in Kenya people really put foods in the fridge. You go to Uganda, they cook every meal, breakfast, hakuna kuweka chakula kwa fridge. When now our fellow Kenyans go to the supermarket, go to the market, they look for a clean vegetable, without dots, without insects. I also want to understand the obsession of a big clean tomato. A tomato that can stay without rotting for 3 days, 4 days, haijaekwa kwa fridge. Dangerous. Where you find rot, that's where you have natural.
You've ever had someone saying in the butchery, angalia yenye iko na inzi, hiyo nyama ndio poa. yenye ukienda kwa butchery upate kuna nyama na inzi ziendi hapo, leave it.
Penye mali kuna inzi.
Endea hiyo nyama.
Hiyo nyama ndio unafaa ukatiwe, nikatie ile iko na inzi. No, Lynn, that is kama inzi imeenda pale, it is natural. It is natural. Let me tell you, me when I go to the market, okay, I'm sorry to say, most of my zile chakula nakula are from my farm. Okay. Apart from munga, nini, mchele.
Yes.
But to vegetables, to nini.
That's only.
I will get them from my garden. But let me tell you, when I go to buy, I am not looking for the cleanest nyanya. I'm not looking for the cleanest carrot. I want that has a sign of being in the soil. That's the one I want. And it is something we really need to rethink. We need to rethink as a people. You see now, I was telling a group of people, you see now the way the NHIF has gone to, is it SHA or SHE? I don't get that thing.
You don't worry, you're not the only one.
Yeah.
So it's SHIF. SHIF is under SHA.
I am calling upon Kenyans to invest in prevention of diseases. Work every single day to prevent yourself from going to hospital. And it has to start in what you're eating. Because now when you're sick, your chances of dying are very high because our health system is in total chaos. You saw yesterday people in Coptic Hospital are being sent back if you don't have cash.
Even dialysis.
Yeah, you cannot get anything without cash. Invest in your health. Not insurance. Invest in what you're eating. Invest in your kitchen. You have to think on what you're eating every single day. Now you have to go organic. You have to go, I tell people, plant your sukuma. Take a sack, put soil, plant sukuma. You cannot even consume a lot of that. Plant a bit of the food that you want to eat in your house. Because right now, you have to prevent yourself from going to hospital.
And that's what they are fighting.
Yes.
They want you to be unable to plant anything without permission.
So that they can feed you with poison.
Yeah.
When they feed you in poison, you are a constant customer in the hospital. Because they're feeding you with poison. That's what they're doing. Like literally, they are draining your blood is what pumps their money.
What are farmers saying out there? How do they feel?
Farmers don't know. Farmers don't know. I am just calling every person in Kenya. Talk to farmers. Farmers do not know. I was talking to people. Do you guys know mnajua hii mboga mtalipa Nema? They're like, wewe Nema. You know, they are actually trying to conceptualize what is happening. They can't. So people need to wake up and understand what is going on. We need to educate people in. They do not know. And we're actually going to be going even to markets. We will go to Marikiti, we will go to Githurai, we will go to these markets because that's where farmers bring their food. And once the farmers understand, they take the information back to the farms. They need to understand what is happening because People don't know, Lynn. People do not know what is happening.
It's unfortunate.
It is very unfortunate.
Yeah, I want you tell me what you think. I
Yes,
saw
yes.
Briefly before we wind up.
Okay.
I saw these solutions.
Yeah.
Someone had also given a couple of solutions.
Yeah.
It's important. I think this is Dr. Kirimi Cindy.
Okay.
I found his article on LinkedIn.
Yes.
And I thought it was very amazing because he gave us a couple of solutions.
Yeah.
You guys can go and access this whole article. I'm putting his profile on screen so you guys can go and see. So action points for stakeholders. This is what he had recommended for smallholders. Tell me what you think.
Okay.
Join cooperatives, work together to pool resources and knowledge to navigate the complexities of the bill.
Yes.
This is in line with the horticulture crop bill.
Yes.
Advocate for support, engage with policymakers to request subsidies and clear guidelines for compliance. Stay informed. This is what I actually advocate for. Regularly update yourself on new regulations and seek assistance from agricultural extension officers. There is action points for everyone. For lawmakers, what you've said, dedicate 3 hours to help in your country if you are a lawmaker. And I don't know what order they are trying to bring in this modernization of Kenya's horticultural sector. I don't know, honestly. He talks about too much red tape could turn farming, a source of livelihood for millions, into an administrative nightmare.
You mentioned about cooperative society.
Yes.
And I've always talked about cooperative societies. Now it's time for people to come together.
Yes.
You see the way matatu industry are organized?
They have their circles
the
now.
Michuki came and brought the rules and they were told, now you organize E-route, circle, E-route. Now farmers need to go there. So if it's like Marikiti sellers, they need their own cooperative society. If it's like Kiambu people, particular constituencies, and they are doing mbogas, they need to come together and put a cooperative society. Because now, as when you stand together, support is easier. Information is easier. And also lobbying becomes easier. You're not lobbying as one person. You're lobbying as a group of farmers. Because right now, let me tell you, Lynn, where we are having a disconnect. For all the years, we've perceived government as our savior. Kama vitu ziko vibaya, serikali, the famous serikali saidia.
Yes.
You know that tag, serikali saidia. Because every Kenyan, we've always expected the government to help. Like when things are very bad, wacha serikali tusaidie. Tutaenda kwa serikali. But now, serikali nakuuza.
They are auctioning us.
They are auctioning us. Now we have to get another way of sustaining ourselves. That's why you've mentioned information, cooperative societies, circles led by the farmers themselves. Because then if we do not do that, and we've talked like, honestly, 80% of food producers are small scale. They're small scale. So those small scale farmers come together and form a cooperative society. They are able to lobby. Because mkiwa pamoja mko na nguvu. Lakini moja, then you're not strong.
It won't be effective.
You're not very strong. So I totally agree. We are also talking about seed banks. I learned the other day, Lynn. Hey, the things you learn in this job. There is a Kenyan seed bank, organic seed bank in the UNEP. Secret. They've collected all organic seeds here in Kenya. They are in UNEP, the UNEP offices. Top security. No one can go there. Any seed, traditionally we had the yellow maize. Not yellow maize, sorry. Purple maize. Those maize that are mixed?
Yes.
Those seeds are there. So we have to get ways of learning. There's someone who was sending me documents on how a group of farmers or individual farmers can have their own seed bank. Protect that original seed, because that is what is under attack of everything. Cassava, arrowroots, tomatoes, maize, our traditional beans. Those traditional beans of ours. We need those original seeds, and everyone needs to be able to protect. Jiulize ilienda wapi? And have you ever asked yourself why the beans nowadays, kitambo, when people cool beans, they never used to have stories na gas?
No, actually, because I have said this, I grew up eating githeri. Sikuwa na issues of gas. Right now, I cannot eat beans
Gas.
and not get hurt.
Gas. Did we have those issues 20 years ago, 10 years? We never used to have those issues. So what has happened to these beans we enjoyed all our lives? Now, zinakupea gas. Something has changed. Something has changed, Lynn.
Yeah.
There are foods that we used to enjoy. Right now, there's another modern problem that we are calling lactose intolerance. We drank milk until we dropped dead.
Hata moyo akatuletea yake.
My mother is 89. She takes tea every morning. But now, the population of people that cannot take milk, that are having lactose intolerance, is so high. It's so high mpaka unashanga. Something in the milk has done what? Something has changed. Something is changing in the foods that we are eating. We have not had the conversations. Lynn, I am praying God you bring a guy here. Let's talk about infertility in Kenya right now. You'll be shocked. The rates of infertility.
Oh, crazy.
We used to be afraid of getting pregnant. Now, you're worried if you'll ever get pregnant. It's crazy, the rates of infertility. Even when you go to social media, women are struggling. Men are struggling with sperm counts. Women are struggling with infertility. It all comes from the food that we are eating. Those are the conversations we've not had. No one is going to talk about those things. Those are the things we need to talk about. Talk to doctors that deal with women reproductive issues, men. And these are issues that are not discussed. They're shrouded in a lot of mystery. I don't want to talk about it. But people are struggling in infertility. It stems from our kitchen. It stems from the foods that we are eating.
You are what you eat.
When this government, though they are behaving funny, the Minister of the PS says we didn't sponsor the bill. The Member of Parliament brings the bill, and then all of a sudden they say all the oil we've been eating in the last 3 or 4 months is poisonous. Na tushakula, tushapika na hiyo mafuta. See, you see what they've said? All the mafuta we've been using in our supermarkets, they say this poisonous.
I missed. How now?
You haven't seen?
No, I haven't.
Oh, it's been on news. It's been on news. They actually put those brands there. You see this liquid oils, the ones we cook with.
Yeah.
They have said all what has been in shelves for the last 6 months is poisonous. So you're telling us we've cooked with poisonous oil, but we've already cooked.
Sa tutapike.
And then they said they're withdrawing this, where you've already used it. Now, they're not talking about that poison. They're not talking about that security. But their interest is on the farm. You remember a couple of years back when, and actually that senior guy in the Kenya Bureau of Standards, he raised an alarm and he said, there is a whole consignment of a ship of maize that have come to Kenya from Mexico that was full of aflatoxin. That guy died. But that maize was consumed. Aflatoxin. They are not talking about that. Health hazard. Those they are not going to discuss, but they are going to discuss the food that the farmer is farming. Oh. Are you seeing the level of hypocrisy?
Yep.
So these conversations, let me tell you, Lynn, we cannot sit back. We cannot sit back. We have to go forth and we have to call our members of parliament. Wapende wasipende. We have to call the ministry officials, agriculture officials. We must have these conversations. Are you seeing the level of hypocrisy in these things? So when they tell us GMO is going to make our food sustainable, come, let's talk about this thing. Is it actually true that it's going to make us food sustainable? When you say that our food is hazardly produced, is not safe, is dirty, is that actually the truth? Is that the reason you're sponsoring these bills? No, it's not. There are other reasons. And these other reasons are all on another layer of foreign influence. It's not local. It
has nothing to do with us.
It has nothing to do with our sustainability. It has nothing to do with ourselves. It has everything to do with foreign multinationals that want to take over agriculture in Kenya, that want to produce every single seed. Kwanza, they call them, when you see the agriculture officials encouraging them and they say, please farmers, buy certified seeds. That's what they call them, buy certified seeds. They encourage you to buy certified seeds packed in the agrovets. They're driving you towards that direction. But there are farmers who do seed farming. I know farmers who do seed farming. I have farmer friends who will grow terere just for seed.
Yes.
Itakaushwa,
Yes.
they pack in bags and they sell the seed. There are farmers who do farming for seed. Even when you go on the roadside lane, you know people who sell trees. They are propagating oranges, mangoes on the side of the roads. I actually say those are the people you should be buying from. You should be buying from that farmer. Forget about this thing they're calling certified seeds, because that's the door for GMO. The last I was here, I told you, there has been, of course, the privatization bill has been brought down. We don't know how far they're going to go with it, but Kenya Seed Company was one of the companies that was going to be privatized. And even before it got the story of privatization, 52% of Kenya Seed Company, who owns it? That information is hidden, Lina, even when you Google it. Who owns 52% of Kenya Seed Company? Who? I don't know. I keep researching. I only know the government owns 48% of Kenya Seed Company. But I can't really put my fingers on the 52%. That's even before privatization.
So it's wow.
So we at a bad place. We at a bad place. We must have conversations, and we must talk about Kenya being number 4 in cancer cases in Africa. Kenya is number 4 in cancer cases. I come from Meru. Meru from Isiolo, Nanyuki, Meru, coming down. Is like an outbreak of cancer, like cholera. The way cholera, like everyone is sick. That's cancer in Meru. Throat cancer, esophagus cancer, breast cancer. It's a crisis in Meru. A few years ago, if you went to Kenyatta cancer ward, they speak Kimeru, all of them, because all the patients are from Meru. But no one takes the time to understand what
changed.
What changed? We didn't have these problems, Lynn.
What changed in Meru?
We do not know if it is the rivers. We do not know. No one actually has put. Actually, there was a story done on NTV on the cancer cases in Meru. No one exactly can tell this explosion of cancers in Meru. Zinatoka wapi? There are so many. Not men, not women, children. Cancer cases, cancer cases, cancer cases. What has changed? In the 1990s, I want you to do a research. I want us to have this conversation. In the entire village, we had one child with autism, where I come from. One child. Actually, not even the village, the location. What is the population of autistic kids right now? Oh, I'm a Sunday school teacher where I go to church. I'm telling you the number of children born with autism nowadays. Apana, there's something wrong. There is something wrong somewhere. Every single class in Sunday school from 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. See, you have 2, 3, 2, 3. That's in our church. Go to schools, same case. An explosion of autistic children. Can we just have those conversations? What is happening? We link it to our food. Yeah. We link it to our health, and we realize we are not having honest conversations. And if we thought that our members of parliament are going to save us, we are so lost. We are so lost. Members of parliament are selling us. Because for Sabina Chege to sponsor such a bill, what is she doing to her people? What is she doing to her people? And I told you, you see these bills I've mentioned? Inaingianga parliament leo. Kesho kutwa, first reading, inaenda mbio. Those are words of a member of parliament who told me that. So these bills are coming from somewhere.
But the one aimed at protecting the farmer, siko kwa draft.
No draft stage. Actually, when I sat with that member of parliament, he called when I was there. Ebu tell me, hii bill, imefika wapi? We are going for public participation in Mombasa. And you know, these bills, they are sponsored. Like the pushers will take those MPs to Mombasa. 1 week. An allowance, of course, a polite name for corruption. An allowance for that, you know. So facilitation, they call it facilitation. You know, like we have these cute names for corruption. You're facilitating people, you're facilitating the members of parliament to kill the country. Yeah. So
but I'm loving that. I love the fact the conversations are happening. The awareness is happening.
Yes.
People are talking.
Yes.
I know even just through this video,
Yes.
1,000 people
pray
will
so.
spread the information.
I
So
pray so.
we keep talking.
And
until
don't be shocked. Even next week you will hear another bill. Kuna crop maybe they've forgotten. They will bring. See, I've told you last week there was the rice bill.
Yes.
The other week there was the horticulture. Next week you'll see another one. I don't know what crop they've forgotten. They are coming for this food that we are eating. They won't stop. That's why we need to go to court.
Yes.
We need to go to court and stop these bills.
Good.
Because now the court is the one that is supposed now to protect us, because now the parliament is not doing it.
It's not doing it.
Yeah.
But I'm happy we have people like you.
Thank you.
Who are, on the forefront, making sure they are advocating for the rights of the farmers, and not just the rights of the farmers, making sure we are protecting our country.
Thank you.
Through sharing this kind of information. We appreciate you. But I don't want to wind up. Do you want to add anything that we've left? Please feel free.
Oh, yeah. I would call upon our viewers. Tomorrow we are serving a petition to the Minister of Agriculture, a petition to withdraw, to have all the bills withdrawn. So we are going to march tomorrow. We are going to go to the Agriculture Office. We're going to serve a petition.
Good.
And after that, we are going to go to court. So we are calling on lawyers. Vile tu mimi nimejitolea na civic education, I'm calling upon lawyers to come. Lawyers of goodwill, lawyers willing to go pro bono. Let's sue this parliament. Let's stop them from passing the bill. And then I'm calling upon every Kenyan, please, especially what Lynn is doing, lift these videos, share them, download them, crop them, share the clips, wake people up. Tell people what is going on. Because a lot is going on, Kenyans. A lot is going on. We cannot afford to sleep.
No.
Otherwise, we'll wake up and we'll find ourselves in a place we don't understand. Information is power. And power belongs to the people.
Good.
Power belongs to the people. Actually, we are more supreme than the Constitution. Power belongs to us. Okay. So we, the people, we have the right to life. So that's what I'm calling on everyone to do.
Everyone to do. We will always be here to spearhead and just be part of these campaigns. The same way you do, you're doing it when it comes to civic education. We'll do it in making sure whatever you are trying to achieve is visible to as many Kenyans as possible. How can people connect with you? I know where to find you. You're on X, very active also on TikTok.
You find me on TikTok.
But how can people connect you? Feel free.
You can find me on X. How can
they connect with you? Sorry.
Yeah, you can call me on my number. You will get my number. Lynn is going to share my number on the screen. You can get me on TikTok, and every single day, so long as I have this breath, I will speak out. So come, let's speak together. Organizations that support what we do, come. Reach me on Twitter, reach me on TikTok, reach me on my number, and let's have this conversation.
Beautiful. Yeah. And we, the people, have the power.
Yes, we have the power.
We have the power. The people, not the politicians.
We have the power.
The people, we have the power. Thank you so much for passing by. Again, as I say, I don't take you for granted that, you're just one call away. Like, hey, come, let's talk about this. And you are always ready to do this.
Thank you. Yeah.
You're on the right side of history.
Thank
you. I know a lot of people who are watching are on the right side of history. Well, you are it. Please connect with her on X. She shares a lot. I never miss any of her posts on X. That's where I know. Yeah, I went back to X. I've not been there for a couple of years, but I went back because there's so much information there. And also connect with her on TikTok. Her number is on the screen. Well, you are it. Please tell me what you think of today's show. Where can you point us? Because we have to have as many conversations as possible. I keep saying, when they say Kenya ni home, that statement is so strong. It's heavy. So make sure you are doing what you need to do to make sure that Kenya remains home. We joined Rumble.
You did?
Yeah.
You did?
Yes.
Please. Oh,
so
I'm
guys,
going there right
please
now.
subscribe to us on Rumble so that one day when they decide this channel is done, you can always find our work on Rumble.
Awesome.
Thank you for...
I'm happy.
Yeah, Kadomi was like, Lynn, what are you doing? Join Rumble right now. I'm like, okay, say no more. I'm going to go and join. So there are a lot of great people there putting great videos that might be, censored in other platforms. So join us on Rumble. The details are on your screen. Subscribe. We never know. But It's really been great having this conversation with you. Send your money to people back home using TapTap. All the details are on your screen. Go for that bonus by using my promo code LYNN. And don't forget to tell us also what other shows or what other topics would you want us to bring on the show. My name is Lynn. See you tomorrow. You know what time? Either 10 a.m. or 7 p.m. Bye-bye.